Kizaru vs. Luffy continues. Hello One Piece enthusiasts, I'm the One Piece nerd, and today let's talk about One Piece chapter 1092. Well, we do not start where we left off the last time around. This is quite surprising. We start in Marijoa, and in fact, Kuma's been fighting Akainu. And not has been fighting Akainu, but fought Akainu, and well, things got interesting. Akainu basically commenting on how Kuma is basically a slave and how he still has will to actually do whatever he wants to, although he's submitted himself to the world government, saying that Kuma had nothing in him, and without Kuma having any willpower, a mind of his own, how is he acting on his own accord, defying the world government, rather harming the world government rather than helping it? Well, a lot to get onto. Before we move on, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. Now that you have, let's begin. Well, I should be covering this entire thing because, yeah, it was sort of a full-on fight. Mostly because Akainu was questioning Kuma's sort of, nature as a whole after Kuma gave up everything to the world government. And of course, Akainu, being the fleet admiral, had responsibilities to protect Marijoa, and in fact, this event happened almost immediately after the revolutionaries created a mess on Marijoa, which is why we see a certain Celestial Dragon comment on how there are stock supplies being at a loss, or things aren't available, because remember, the revolutionaries came in, attacked Marijoa, and basically destroyed their food supplies. And this is about to get really rough for the world government, and we've basically got a hint of it from whatever we saw in the chapter. And of course, Akainu being Akainu, he should be caring about it, but of course he doesn't. But with all that being said, the thing I wanted to point out through this entire interaction is that Akainu finds it interesting that Kuma, without having a mind of his own, is doing whatever he wants to, although he has literally been taken out of his former self, where Akainu, having a mind and body of his own, still works according to what the world government tells him to do. And I don't really know where this is going. This could be a sign that, yeah, Akainu is sort of sick of the world government's ploys and ideas and things he has to do for the world government. Now that he's a fleet admiral, I think he's trying to see, or he's, trying to find a justification to get out of this. I might just make a future video on this, talking about it a little bit more in depth, but that's it for now, and we move on to Egg Island. But before that, of course, Kuma leaves at some point during the fight, goes off to somewhere else, who knows where, and we're back to Egg Island. We're back to Agate Island, and of course we see Kizaru fighting, and Kizaru is nothing to laugh at. And this is a part of me that doesn't, this is the one part of the chapter that I do not like, which is Luffy going into Gear 4th. Of course, this was my own opinion when I took into my headcanon that when Luffy stated that this was his last Gear 4th against Kaido, this would be literally his last Gear 4th. Because in all honesty, when you have something like Gear 5, do you really need the other gears? Does it really make sense for you to use other gears? I didn't think so, but Oda thinks so. I guess Luffy still needs his versatility. Gear 4 is still easier to use than Gear 5, and Luffy thought, why not give it another shot and see how far this can take me. Of course, it takes him nowhere. Kizaru is an admiral level opponent. He's as strong, if not stronger, than Kaido, and Gear 4 will not be enough to beat him, even with advanced armament and conqueror's haki. With that being said, of course, Kizaru, being a formidable foe, literally goes on to manhandle every single one of them, like Frankie, Bonnie, Luffy, and all the others. And in fact, he ends up destroying the Vega Force, so that was supposed to take the Sunny to the other side and find an escape route. Good news is the lava sphere has been opened. Now, the lava sphere being open is actually good for Vegapunk and the rest of the team, because Kizaru and the others have already infiltrated the island. There's no reason for them to keep it locked. Now, okay, yeah, they're about to get out, they can't escape, but then the Vega Force 1 is destroyed. Now, what does that mean? I don't think that really means anything. That means other people have more responsibilities. They will somehow have to make sure that the Sunny gets onto the place, and by the time Luffy is done with Kizaru, we will be done and set, and we'll be basically preparing for setting sail. But with the way things are, Luffy getting into Gear 5 now. We finally got into Gear 5, and we're fighting off against Kizaru, and yeah, things got interesting. Because as is supposed to. Luffy, being Joy Boy, the most freest man in the world, can do whatever he wants to, and he caught hold of Kizaru without probably even using Haki. And Luffy comments on how Kizaru's body is hot. So I think, yeah, light from what Kizaru is using is basically a version of the electronic lights that we use. It's not necessarily the light we see from the sun, but rather lights we use from electronics. Maybe, I mean, I don't know, dude. Light emanates heat, and that is a property of light, and I guess that's what he's feeling. And maybe it's even laser-ish, something like that can actually shoot through things. Of course, we know Kizaru can do that. We don't know how exactly his powers work, or how far it can go when it comes to using light, but so far we know it's hot, we know it's laser-like, we know it can go fast. It's not light speed, it's not quite literally light speed, but yeah, it's pretty fast. But Luffy was able to get a hold of him, and this fight I think is about to get interesting. And from the way it seems, if Oda wants Luffy to get into an Admiral level and actually finish Kizaru off, like defeat Kizaru, I feel like he's not the final villain of the arc, and in fact we will get to see Saturn Garcia to basically fight against Luffy and actually see a formidable foe that Luffy has a hard time handling. But I want this fight to drag on. In all honesty, I want this fight to drag on as much as it can, because I want to see how much Luffy can handle an Admiral level opponent in Gear 5 and in full power. With that being said, the chapter ends off with a giant that was awakened 200 or 300 years ago attacking Mirijoa to be awakened again after Luffy's use of Gear 5. And it is now beating the drums of liberation, sort of the same way Zunisha came in when Luffy unlocked Gear 5. So, with that being said, we can figure it out, yeah, that whatever that robot is was a part of the Ancient Kingdom. No wonder it is on Vegapunk's island, and something significant is about to happen. If that robot has a will of its own, if that robot has history, I think we're about to get into pretty spicy territories. And of course, if that robot is of any use, which I presume it is, and it is probably even stronger than most of Vegapunk's weaponized sea beasts or whatever, we're about to get into a very, very interesting place where we could see that robot in full power and actually see a glimpse of what the Ancient Kingdom had when fighting off against the world government. That's it for the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, peace.